Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I am a women's life and transformation coach, and I'm here to help you elevate your life and embody the best version of you. Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 masks that women wear, and some of the time, actually most of the time, we don't even realize we are wearing these masks. I want to talk about this today because I feel that for many women, especially myself, we can spend our entire lives thinking that there is something wrong with us, that we're not doing something right, or that something is missing from our lives, and that is the reason why we can't be happy or fulfilled. And if you are watching this video right now and you feel like that is the current state of life you are in, it's likely because you are unconsciously, unknowingly wearing one or multiple of these masks that I'm going to be sharing with you. In the spirit of the Halloween season that just passed, I think the only mask that we should be wearing is a Halloween costume. If it's not that, well, actually no, we shouldn't. It's not a should. You don't have to be wearing a Halloween costume, but if it's not that, you shouldn't be having to wear a mask. Yet for so many women, we feel that we can't be our authentic selves, and to show our true, honest, vulnerable emotions or express ourselves wholly as we are is often too scary and too difficult to do, because vulnerability takes courage. And when you are vulnerable, you risk people rejecting you. But there is also something extremely powerful about vulnerability. And that is why so many of us are drawn towards people who are authentic, who are really just being themselves to the world. And if you're somebody who is sick and tired of feeling like you're hiding behind a certain image that you're portraying to the world, perhaps you're trying to do self-development and you're trying to mindset and affirmation your way through to become your best self, but you still feel like you are living in a shell and behind a mask, then this is the video for you. Hey, I'm Nicole and welcome to my channel. I'm a life and transformation coach for women, self-proclaimed foodie, content creator, educator, and your new YouTube bestie. I help everyday women step into more abundance, flow, and embodiment of their most authentic selves. In my world, we talk about all things to do with elevating your life. I post weekly videos helping the everyday woman embody her highest self, create inner wealth, master her mindset, unlock her femininity, and be an absolute boss in life. I create resources, trainings, and host experiences online and in person in order to help you reconnect to your true self, not the one you think you need to be, but the one you were born to be, so you can reclaim your power and amplify your voice to lead, love, and create as a woman. Whether you've been stuck in an uninspiring pattern, want to reclaim your power back, or need a new vision for your life again, if you like my vibe and you want a little bit more abundance in your life, hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new episode. If you're ready to step into your next level, keep watching. Now let's get into today's video. Firstly, real quick, why do we even wear masks? Not many of us wake up and choose consciously that we're going to put on a mask and be fake that day. No. Most of the time, we learn to create a mask and we habitually put on that mask because it's what allows us to gain approval, praise, love, validation, whatever it is that we seek. And many of us learn this from early on in our childhoods in order to please other people and to feel validated by them. And so unfortunately for women, this is 10 times more significant because women have so many additional conditions that we have to meet in order to be acceptable and to be proper in the world. I believe no one necessarily wants to put on a mask. Your soul wants to be authentic. It wants to be seen as you. And that is why the deep craving within you is like, get me out of here. I really just want to be me. But the unconscious need to hide comes from a lot of shame and pain that is potentially going to happen if we let ourselves be vulnerable. And learning to live life without a mask is what I call putting aside the ego. The ego is is a part of us that wants to protect us. And the ego is what plays out these roles or causes us to put on this mask, because the ego wants us to feel secure. And the ego loves to identify with labels, achievements, status, roles, because it means that we can hang our stability and our security on something. When you remove all of that, the ego is vulnerable. But on the opposite end of ego is the soul. It's the essence, it's the real self. And that's the you that wants to come out and play and be loved as she is. But you're gonna have to realize what masks you are putting on, whether conscious or unconscious. And that's why I'm filming this video for you today, to help you become aware of 5 of the most common masks that I have seen women wearing for their whole lives. Are you ready? Let's go. Mask number 1 is the good girl mask. This is the mask that wants to accommodate to people. It wants to be at the beck and call of every single person, making sure that she can be right then and there when other people need her. She wants to be like the teacher's pet. She wants to be approved and accepted by everyone and anyone around her. And she will often put the needs of other people before herself, even if she is in dire need of self-care and replenishing. The good girl mask does everything she can within her power to avoid conflict. She wants to keep the peace. She wants to be the person who's doing everything for everyone so that there is no conflict or tension. But this obviously comes at a cost, and it causes her to feel like she is stretched too thin, and potentially causing her to become completely resentful of the people she actually really loves, like her family, her partner, her friends, and even her own projects like her business. So this mask, if you resonate with what I just said, the root of this mask is a fear of rejection and abandonment. You believe that in order to be loved, you need to make sure that you are doing everything for everyone. You need to make sure everyone's happy. And you believe that if you express your true feelings and you actually speak out or say no, you're going to disappoint other people. So you try to be agreeable and perfect and prim and proper. So you kind of just sit there and be the good girl. And for me, this is something that I resonate with deeply. I have always found myself wanting to be the good girl and struggling to break rules, struggling to say no. And this led me to be a huge overthinker, people pleaser, and overcommitter. That's not a word, but I would say yes to everything. And I would be burnt out, but I couldn't admit it, because I really believed that if I wasn't doing all these things, then people would be disappointed and that they would blame it on me, and then therefore I would not receive their love or friendship or approval. The wound beneath this mask is the feeling that you are unsafe if you express yourself. It's that you're going to be seen as too much if you actually show yourself, your real self. So you suppress all of that and you try to be the good girl. You try to squeeze yourself into the pretty little box that you think you need to be for everyone, and therefore you lose yourself. And the wound here is that you feel that they're not going to accept you. People are not going to see you as lovable, as perfect, if you really were yourself, because deep down you hold a wound that you're too much for people. Mask number 2 is the independent woman. This is the girlie who needs to do everything on her own. She thrives off of needing to be the bread and butter earner. She needs to be the ambitious one, the high achiever, the top of the ranks, always on her A game. She's usually very self-critical, a perfectionist, and expecting such high standards for herself to the point where her deadlines and goals may become extremely unrealistic. She also has really brutal self-criticism on herself. She is so fiercely independent because she fears that if she is vulnerable, then she will essentially lose. Her self-sufficiency and her need to just do it all on her own is coming from a place of not wanting to be dependent on other people. This mask that we put on as the independent woman, especially for those of us in entrepreneurship or who are high achievers even in our workplaces, or maybe back in school, this typically would have come from a fear of betrayal or being let down. Maybe you had a certain thing happen in your life where somebody left without you seeing it ahead of time. Maybe a source of income was removed. Let's say growing up, one of your parents lost a job. You had this experience where you all of a sudden had to switch gears and hustle, or perhaps you saw your mother switch gears and start hustling. And this removal of stability and dependence caused you to have to adopt this mentality, this way of being that you can't depend on anything and anyone. You can't trust other people. You have to only trust yourself. And while it's healthy to have a sense of self-dependence, this hyper independence causes you to restrict yourself from meaningful relationships and to withdraw because you are so busy trying to make things work. I see myself a lot in this archetype or wearing this mask, especially in the previous 4 years of my business where I worked so hard because I think deep down I wanted to prove something. I wanted to be someone. I wanted to say to the world and to show my parents like that I could do it on my own. And I did grow up with a very masculine mother figure because our household collapsed at a very young age and my father was a big gambler. And so we had to basically witness my mom go through divorce and work really, really hard to provide for 3 children on her own. And this really set off a part of me that believed that women needed to be hardworking, that we couldn't depend on men, and that we needed to really just work and have our own. And this started to really break for me when my partner and I were just sharing a lot more about our tendencies around money. And I remember just having a moment where I broke down because I was like, I feel like no matter how much you tell me that you're here for me and you want to support me and we're gonna have a good life together, I feel like I'll never be ready for that because deep down I feel so closed. I feel like I have to have my things together because I can't rely on you. And this was a really big breaking point for me because it showed me that I was so resistant to receiving and to being dependent on anyone, even if he really, really meant it. And even if it was right there in front of me. And so after I burnt out and I hustled myself to the ground, I basically learned that hard lesson that I was too independent and it was cutting me off from really rich and fulfilling relationships and opportunities and experiences in my life. And it activated finally a part of me in my feminine that was allowing and could receive and open to new things and support, and it allowed me to also reconnect with friendships and have non-transactional relationships because I didn't need to always be the best and to try to one-up everyone and everything and be so career focused. If you are wearing this mask, or you typically find yourself wearing this mask, just know that the wound underneath this is that you feel that you cannot trust or depend on other people. You feel that things are going to go wrong if you let yourself be vulnerable. And if you can work on that vulnerability wound of what was it that I went through, or what was it that was taken away from me that caused me to switch gears and think that I have to do it all on my own, and how might this behavior be cutting me off from sources of love, life, joy, peace that I really, really want and deserve. The third mask is one that I'm also a very, very big perpetrator of, or victim of. I don't know, but I wear this mask a lot and so many of you guys probably also do. This is the people pleaser mask. I know, you guys, this is probably the most common mask that I see women wear. So this mask is all about making other people happy. This is about self-sacrifice. And when you wear the people pleaser mask, other people's happiness matters more than yours. And you might have guessed when this is the case, typically you are living extremely exhausted and unhappy, ironically. You are so concerned about other people's thoughts and approval that you literally will do everything that they need you to do, or you will behave in a way that is not authentic to you in order to please them or to maintain a certain image that they have of you. People pleasing also tends to lead to very little boundaries or loose boundaries, and you probably also struggle with communicating with other people as well as communicating with yourself. You break your own boundaries and you can't seem to stick to commitments that you make. People pleasing is rooted in a lack of self-worth and validation. With the people-pleasing mask, you need the feedback of somebody else, whether it's verbal or just energetic. You feel that you can't thrive without them. Even with people who are your enemies or people that you don't like, you say that you don't like them, you almost unconsciously, you need that energy of not liking them, like them being there as a figure of your not liking, to validate what you feel, that you're not good enough, that you could never be successful, that you could never be like them. And you're essentially using your outer world to constantly reflect on, rather than realizing that your worth and your value is complete as it is. So the wound from this mask, if you are wearing this mask typically, is that you feel unworthy of love and you feel that you are going to be rejected when you choose yourself or when you communicate that you value something. One of the things that I love to teach with people pleasing, especially with a lot of my clients who are women and in my programs, is just the importance of boundaries and reframing the way we look at boundaries. I think we view boundaries as something that is harsh and not pleasant and uncomfortable. But I like to reframe that and teach them tools in their language, in their self-communication, because our self-communication, if we can get that right, then we can communicate amazingly and change our results on the outside, because it all matters how you talk to yourself first, right? And so one of the ways that we reframe is by changing that relationship with the boundary. What if a boundary was there to protect something that was precious, rather than to cut something off, rather than to push something away? So many people have a hard time setting boundaries because they feel they're going to disappoint other people. So they rather just people please and say yes all the time. But what if you could learn to communicate in such an assertive and powerful way where you could tell your boss, look, I appreciate that you trust me so much with these projects. And in fact, I'm so honored that you would choose me. However, in order to give my best work, I want to acknowledge that I'm already at my capacity. And if you want me to take on this project, I'm going to need to pause another project. That's if you want the best quality work. And for me, I would rather that I give my best 110% quality work than give you something half-hearted and try to take these on. So is it possible that we could delay this project, or is it possible that we could move this project until next week? So that is powerful communication. That is a boundary setting that is effective, and being able to do that is a skill. And that is why I teach this for many of my clients and women in my community who struggle with people pleasing. Because part of the problem is that nobody taught you that setting boundaries was healthy and was okay. For many women, we are taught to be so self-sacrificial that we literally say yes to everything. We have to make everybody happy. We have to do everything under the sun. We have to do all the chores and have a career and look pretty and put together and take care of our mental health and our physical health. And it's just a lot. So it's super important to be able to communicate effectively if you want to overcome this people-pleasing tendency, firstly to yourself, and then learn to communicate effectively to other people. Hey, if you like this video and you want to take your life to the next level, I want to help you. To help you take the first step to unlocking the life you deserve, I'm giving you free resources, workshops, and masterclasses that you can access on demand to help you elevate your life and become the best version of you. The best part is you'll have me in your corner and the support of a like-minded community around you. All you need to do is click the link below and join the free online community for women called the I Am Her Collective. Inside, we do community calls to talk about all things womanhood, dive deep into topics such as femininity, real self-love, well-being, and skills for becoming that girl. For deeper connections, relatable insights, and helpful tools, click the link below to join now. And for more videos like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and to check out the other playlists on this channel. I'll see you next time.